Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So this is my second video of the series that I decided to do a couple of days ago, and this is to do with the overpowered azerite traits, or traits that really have altered the gameplay for healing classes. And I did a resto shaman video, and I was covering multiple azerite traits that made their single target DPS really strong and their burst healing really strong. And now we're talking about Holy Paladin, and Holy Paladin has received a lot of changes. To some extent, there is a completely new gameplay for Holy Paladins in 5 months. Well, actually, mainly this is going to be covering raid scenarios, because I've not really experimented with this trait in 5 months, so I'm not 100% sure about it. But for raid scenarios, this has really become very popular. So right now we're looking at Holy Paladin, and we're looking at an azerite trait called Glimmer of Light. Now, Glimmer of Light is becoming one of the most powerful azerite traits for any healing spec in the game. So what it does is Holy Shock leaves a Glimmer of Light on a target for 30 seconds. When you Holy Shock all targets, the Glimmer of Light are damaged, you don't really care about that, or healed for 1259. So like I mentioned in my previous video, if it doesn't have percentages, it usually is capable of stacking. So if I use Holy Shock on myself, you'll notice here I have a little icon for 30 seconds. That means if I Holy Shock again on someone else, or even myself, that target is going to get healed, or I'm going to get healed because I have Glimmer of Light. So you don't really want to override it. You kind of want to make sure you spread Glimmer of Light on as many targets as possible, because think of it as mini beacons. And that's exactly what it is. So this azerite trait is so strong that it has altered the playstyle, the talent build for majority of Holy Paladins in Battle of Dazar'alor. So if we actually go to, again, some of the logs, I always have to include some of the logs, and here is the most popular builds for Holy Paladins in Mythic Battle of Dazar'alor. As you notice, glimmers are everywhere. People are stacking 2 or 3 Glimmer of Lights everywhere, and they're altering a build based on this. And I want to kind of showcase the log from Mythic Jaina, because Mythic Jaina, it requires the most healing, the most possible healing for like 1 or 2 minutes, because the last phase is absolutely insane. So the talent build that most people are going, and you can see a Holy Paladin here doing 46k HPS, and we'll talk about that later on. But if we look at some of the talent builds, you'll notice Crusader's Might, you'll notice Holy Avenger, you'll notice Sanctified Wrath, and you'll notice Divine Purpose. And these are all very important talents. So if we go back to our Holy Paladin to showcase some of the talent choices, there is an important synergy with Glimmer of Light and how to actually optimize it. The name of the game is Holy Shock. Holy Shock is your holy grail to do with Glimmer of Light. You want to have as many Holy Shocks as possible, so you will have more Glimmer of Lights. And the funny fact is that Glimmer of Light is also being transferred to your beacon target. So let's say you go Crusader's Might. Crusader's Strike reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn by 1.5 seconds. Again, we're mainly focusing on Holy Shock, 1.5 seconds. This is very strong. Again, most of the people will be using Crusader's Might, but sometimes you're not able to, for whatever reason, you can't hit the boss with in melee situations. You might consider going Bestowed Fate, but Crusader's Might is the most optimal for this build. Then you'll notice Holy Avenger. Holy Avenger increases haste by 30% and your Holy Shock healing by 30% as well. The big thing that we consider here in terms of Holy Avenger is that getting additional haste is going to reduce the cooldown of your Crusader Strike. More Crusader Strikes, more reduction on your Holy Shock. Again, correlation, synchronization works really well. And Sanctified Wrath is also a very important one, because Avenging Wrath lasts 25% longer, which makes your wings really strong, and reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock cooldown by 50%. More Holy Shocks. And then the last talent that also synchronizes, Divine Purpose. Casting Light of Dawn on Holy Shock has 20% chance not to trigger, so if you're lucky, you can get a ton of Holy Shocks for free. So how does this work exactly? So because of the Crusader's Might, you will be spending most of your time DPSing the boss. You want to make sure that you can hit the boss and use Crusader Strike as much as possible, and basically use Holy Shock on cooldown on different targets. So you can see right now I'm just using my Crusader Strike. I'm waiting for my Holy Shock. If it was a raid scenario, I'll be placing my Holy Shocks on someone else. I'll be getting Glimmer of Light, and every time I'm going to Holy Shock someone, all of those people are going to get healed through Glimmer of Light. So I am a melee healer right now. This is the true potential of a melee healer. Now what happens later on, you can see I got my Divine Purpose proc, so that means I got a free Holy Shock that I can place, a free Glimmer of Light. Again, I got a proc, so you can notice how many Holy Shocks I'm getting here. So what happens now, if you use your Holy Avenger and if you use your wings, all of a sudden you'll be, again, I got a free one. All of a sudden I'm getting the cooldown. The cooldown of Holy Shock is reduced. My Holy Avenger is giving me additional haste. I'm able to use more Crusader strikes. I'm able to use more Holy Shocks. Like, this gives me so many free Holy Shocks. Like, I mean, you can probably, to some extent, almost cover a small raid with Glimmer of Light during this kind of window. So all of a sudden, you're kind of becoming an AoE healer as a Holy Paladin, because you're gonna have these mini beacons or Glimmer of Lights on everybody, basically. So the other fun aspect is that I want to go through some of the logs. Again, I mentioned Mythic Jaina, extremely fun fight, and go through the specific log that I showed you. So I'm going to go through this log where the Holy Paladin did 46k healing, and I want to show you just the beacon sources. So even with Glimmer of Light, you will only have one beacon because you're going to be using Divine Purpose for most part, or at least in this build. You might consider using Divine Purpose. You don't have Beacon of Fate, so you only have one beacon. So that beacon is still going to, or at least Glimmer of Light healing is still going to transfer to that beacon target. So what you can do, if you're scared about the tank healing, you can apply one beacon of a tank and apply Glimmer of Light on the second tank, so you make sure that, you know, Glimmer of Light healing is going to transfer to the tank, and also the Glimmer of Light is also going to heal the secondary tank, just to kind of even out the tank healing. But this is just to kind of help you with, like, oh, my two tank healing is going to dip a lot, or like Glimmer of Light might not transfer to beacons. It actually does. It really, really does. This is the breakdown of beacon healing sources. So let's look at the healing that the Holy Paladin did on the last phase. So the Holy Paladin did 46k overall, like around 46k healing HPS, and we go to the last minute like I did that in the last video, and this is the breakdown of the last couple of minutes of Mythic Jaina encounter, and you can see that Holy Paladin was doing 80k HPS for the last couple of minutes. If you go to the breakdown, you can notice the Glimmer of Light accounted for almost 40% of that. Holy Shock was the next, Light of Dawn, and then Beacon of Light. So you can notice, or you can see, the true potential of this build for really, really heavy AoE situations. Now, there has been a lot of different kind of mixtures of talents that people use. Some people don't tend to go with Crusader Smite because they might not be able to hit the boss. You can notice that some people also still go with Avenging Crusader. Some people might still go with Beacon of Fate, depending on what you need. But if you're trying to experiment with a completely new build for a Holy Paladin, which in my opinion makes it really, really fun. It makes it a true melee healer. To some extent, I kind of hope that Mistweavers with Rising Mist and Fist Weaving would kind of felt like this as well. I kind of wanted this to happen to Mistweavers, but I guess Holy Paladins and Glimmer of Light really kind of helped to achieve this. I've heard a lot of feedback on people telling me that this is like one of the most fun healing builds. I haven't had the full time to experiment this in raid scenarios because I kind of gave up on my Holy Paladin because I was really sad about the changes that happened to Holy Paladin coming into BfA. But this really gives me hope. I'll be completely honest with you. This looks extremely fun to experiment. Again, Holy Shock is the name of the game. Making sure you apply as many Glimmer of Lights as possible. Guys, try this out. Let me know how you feel about this. Is Holy Paladin back to being one of the most fun healing specs? I don't know. Let me know, guys. Keep in mind that there is also a disclaimer that I kind of forgot to mention in this video and the previous video, is that I'm looking at some of these top logs. I'm looking at Warcraft logs, and this is going to showcase the top 10 HPS of certain spec. And sometimes these logs are kind of skewed. Sometimes people are trying to get there to be rank 1 and things like that. So it doesn't always showcase the best way to play at certain situation or certain boss. So keep that in mind. But it's always fun to see that there's going to be different talent choices, different spec choices, different azerite choices in the game. And I am all for multiple different viable specs for healers. I am all for variety, complexity. So I'm happy that this is going to happen, or at least I'm happy to see that azerite traits are becoming quite strong. I don't want them to get nerfed. A lot of people will probably see like this is too powerful and things like that. I enjoy the complexity, but we'll have to see, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this as well, guys. Should these traits be the way that they are? In my opinion, they should. I like the complexity, but I'd love to hear your opinion as well. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoy the content that I do, if you enjoy the channel, please do subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next guide.